All right, welcome. Today we are going to break down a really simple, but honestly, a super powerful idea for building success from, well, basically nothing. It's a story that proves you don't need a boatload of cash to create something huge. You just need the right idea. So, picture this. The starting line for this whole journey is something a lot of us can probably relate to, right? You've got this big ambition, but your bank account? Totally empty. And I mean literally zero money. No investors, no loans. Zip. And yet, from that exact spot, one single idea completely flips the script and leads to incredible success. So you gotta ask, how? I mean, how do you actually go from having nothing to creating something that people truly value? Okay, so to really get how this was even possible, we need to look at what starting with nothing actually looked like. Let's break down the bare minimum toolkit he was working with. So there was no money to fall back on, no powerful network to call for favors. The entire list of things he had to work with was just two items: a smartphone and an internet connection. That's it. The same exact tools that millions of us have in our pockets every single day. And right here, this is where the magic really happens. See, it was never about the tools he had. It was all about how he decided to use them. The whole thing kicked off with one massive, game-changing shift in his thinking. He stopped trying to sell and started trying to solve. And this, right here, is the pivot point where so many people get it wrong. We usually start by thinking, okay, here's my product. How do I get people to buy it? In his case, it was trying to sell some graphic design templates. The big shift was to just throw that whole idea out and instead focus like a laser on what people were actually struggling with. It's the difference between shouting a sales pitch and actually having a conversation. So his big aha moment wasn't some crazy new invention. It was just this simple realization. People's days are absolutely full of small, annoying problems, little frustrations, moments of confusion, questions that just need a quick, clear answer. And he realized that all those tiny problems, when you add them up, were actually a massive opportunity. So with this new mission to solve small problems, the next step wasn't some complicated business plan. Nope, it was a simple strategy, a daily discipline built on one thing and one thing only: delivering value, day in and day out. His method was just this simple four-step loop. First, he'd study what people were actually asking about online. Questions like, hey, how do I make a cool-looking thumbnail for my video for free? Then, he'd pick one of those small problems. Next, using just his phone, he'd record a quick 90-second video that solved that exact issue. And finally, and this is the most important part, he did it again the next day and the next. Consistency was the secret sauce. And this is so crucial to understand. The engine driving all his growth was 100% organic. He didn't spend a dime on ads. He didn't take any money from investors. The whole thing was fueled by just one thing: pure, helpful value. No catch. Okay, so you're probably thinking, yeah, being helpful is nice, but how does that actually pay the rent? And that brings us to the payoff. This is how that relentless focus on giving away free value eventually turned into real income. It didn't happen overnight, but it was like a predictable chain reaction. Those helpful little videos naturally got views. The consistent value built trust, and those viewers turned into actual followers. Then, as that community grew, the followers started asking for more. Like, hey, can you make a whole template pack like the one in that tutorial? And they became paying customers. Each step just built on the one before it, like climbing a ladder of value. And really, this is the core lesson of the whole thing. The second you stop chasing money and instead become obsessed with solving other people's problems, the whole game flips. Suddenly, money isn't the goal anymore. It's just the natural result of all the value you're creating. It starts following you. And that's our look at how this all works. It's a pretty powerful reminder that you don't need a huge budget to start something amazing. You just need to shift your focus from selling to solving. So it kind of leaves us all with one final question to think about. With the tools you've got right now, what small problem are you going to solve first?